All right, on polygons, which is what we're doing. Remember, a polygon, the main thing is that there's no curves. All the sides are straight. It's closed. And sides can't intersect. So like this is not a polygon because they intersect right there. The actual definition is every vertex has to have just two rays coming out of it. So at this vertex there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay? Mostly what we're going to be doing is going to be regular polygons. Remember what that is? All sides and angles are congruent. So we've had this, what we're doing in this first section, we've had it before. If you remember, if there's 3 sides, how many degrees do the angles add up to? 180. 4 sides, and it can be any 4-sided figure. 360. 5 sides. 540. And why is that, Noah?
I don't know. I just added.
You guess?
360.
Well, that's why. Every time you add a side, you're adding a straight line, right?
Yeah.
So what are you adding to it? 180 degrees. So every time you add a side, you're adding 180 degrees to it. So that would be 720. And so on, okay? Now, what you can do is you can do something to the number of sides to figure out what the measure is. And does anyone remember what that formula is? The sum of interior angles on a polygon is equal to the number of sides minus, you remember? What do I do to 3? And it has to do with 180. No one remembers the formula?
N means sum.
No, n is the number of sides. Minus 2 times 180. Okay? 6 minus 2 is 4. 4 times 180 is 720. 5 minus 2 is 3. 3 times 180 is 540. 3 minus 1 is 2, or 1 times 180 is 180. So if you had a 14 gon, the angles would add up to 12 times 180. So you just take 2 off the number of sides. Okay? So we've done some of these before. Eventually what we're going to end up doing is finding the areas of regular polygons. So what this means then is here it's n minus 2 times 180 to find the sum of the measures of the interior angles. And then if it does happen to be regular, which like I said, it's almost all of these are what we're going to work on later. Like if it's a regular hexagon, we know that since it's a hexagon, that's 720 degrees, right? Because we take 4 times 180. So, can you find out what each angle is equal to? Since it's regular? Remember, what does regular mean?
All sides the same.
And what else are the same?
Angles.
So, if they add up to 720, and they're all the same, you just divide by 6, because there's 6 sides and 6 angles in a hexagon. So 720 divided by 6 is 120. So like this one is not regular, it is a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-sided figure. So take 2 away from that, we would take 3 times 180, and it would add up to 540. So these gotta add up to 540, so all you gotta do is subtract off this, and that to get what x is. So 540 minus 120 minus 90 minus 151 minus 56 is not the right answer. $123 for x. Exterior angles. Does anyone remember what the exterior angles always add up to?
Oh, yeah. Double. 1,900 something.
So we'll go back to this.
Just double.
Yeah. If we had a equilateral triangle, all the angles would be 60. And then exterior angles, remember, is you just extend every side one direction. So you go out here, there, and there. 3 sides, 3 exterior angles. What is each exterior angle going to be? 120, because an interior and exterior always add up to 180. Remember that. That's going to make some of your problems easier if you remember that. 120, 120, 120 is 360. So if I took a 4-sided figure, just make a rectangle, which means all of them are 90. And if I drew all those in there, what's every angle going to be? Exterior, 90. So 90 times 4 is 360. So do I got to go any further? What are the exterior angles always going to add up to? No matter how many sides it is, the exterior always adds up to 360. Every single time. So, in this picture, these are all exterior angles. And even though this isn't labeled, there's one right there too. So, since it's more than just an x, you've got to write an equation to solve it. So we got to add all these up. Add the x's. There's a 2x, a 2x, and an x makes 5 x's. And then a negative 12 and a positive 32, and then don't forget that 90. Is 110. Has to add up to 360 degrees. So we just solve for x, subtract 110, and then divide by 5. And x is 50. Now in this one, this is a regular 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, a regular hexagon. So it's 6 sides. So just take 4 times 180, because remember you got to take 2 away from the number of sides. And that one is, what was it, 720? Okay, which means there's 6 angles the same here. So just divide that by 6, and it was 120. So then what would x have to be? 60. Now, there's a shorter way to do that. When it's a regular polygon, you know all the angles are the same, right? Mm-hmm. And since it's a hexagon, there's 6 exterior angles, and they're all the same. So what's the quicker way to do it instead of all this? 360 divided by 6 is 60. So if it's regular, which again, after this section, they will all be. You just take 360 divided by how many there are. If you have a regular 16 gun, and they wanted to find every exterior angle, you would just take 360 divided by 16. And it's 22.5. Now, here's why it's easy, or you're going to want to remember this. Since I know this, finding the interior angle is simple now, right? Because they got to always add up to 180. Every exterior and interior angle always adds up to 180. So I just take 180 minus 22.5 is 157.5. In your assignment today, we got a few problems like that. Okay, so here we've got a regular pentagon. This is an interior angle. So we got to figure out what these 5 angles add up to. So we take 3 times 180, because remember you got to subtract 2 off the number of sides. And you get 540. So to figure out what x is, you got to do what? Divide by 5, because they're all the same. 108. Exterior angles always add up to 360. So we got to figure out what x is. We got to take x, 4x, and x makes 6 x's. 137 and 43 is 180, and then there's a plus 1 and a minus 1. So they cancel. So together they got to add up to 360. So you just subtract 180 and divide by 6, and that would be 30. Okay, in this problem, these are all 150 and these are equal. So we can figure out what they are because it's a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-sided figure. So just take 4 times 180 is 720. So these got to add up to 720. Subtract these off, that's 300, 600. And then since these are the same, you just divide by 2 and you'd get 60 degrees for those two.